Hello. Hey, everybody. My name's Josh Kent. I am the founder and CEO of sunfrogshirts.com. We are the world's largest t-shirt website with over 20 million designs on our website. And just to put that into perspective, Amazon and eBay combined probably have less than 1 million. We also are the highest trafficked t-shirt website on the internet. We're currently ranked with Alexa at 187, meaning there's only 186 websites on the internet that have more traffic than we do. So I've been asked to speak because I've had explosive growth, both personally and professionally, year after year after year. So I was asked to come share, Josh, how is it that you harness this explosive growth with every business that you own and in all areas of your life? And today, what I hope to do is help you guys understand how I think strategically, help you identify some areas in your life, then how to actually act tactically to remove certain lids that you may have that are holding you back. So, all right, I'm looking for my slide. To do this, I want to start with a fun little story. If you guys are not familiar with what a flea is a microscopic little insect, no bigger than the tip of a ballpoint pen. A flea has a 36-inch vertical jump. But here's what's interesting about a flea. Now, first of all, picture yourself as a human. That kind of vertical jump, it'd be like if we could jump skyscrapers. We're talking a huge vertical jump. Now, the interesting thing is if you take a flea and you put fleas in a jar, that same flea that has a 36-inch vertical jump will very quickly adapt to the conditions of the jar. After hitting its head on the top of the jar, after just a few short jumps, it will stop hitting its head. It will adjust to a 6-inch vertical jump. It becomes conditioned to the environment of the jar. What's even more interesting about this is if fleas in a jar reproduce, baby fleas grown in captivity will never jump more than 6 inches, even though they have a God-given ability to jump 36 inches. So when I heard this story, I was fascinated. I'm like, dang, I'm a flea. I think like a flea. I've been conditioned. So I want to rip through just some of my lids that relate to my company and my most recent endeavor. And I want to share my lids so that hopefully you can identify with the lids and how they hold you back. Then I want to help you guys identify some of your lids. So when we started Sunfrog, one of the very first lids in our industry was t-shirt websites typically don't pay real well, 10 to 15%. I used to be a seller, so I didn't like that. I was only getting a couple dollars every time I sold a shirt. So the lid for us, for our company, was to remove that lid and break all industry standards with paying 65% of the revenue on all t-shirts. Side note, influencers, there's a t-shirt for everything. Another lid in our industry that was starting to come about is campaign-based purchasing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen anything like this, but literally you go to a website that's crowdfunding a purchase. It's a terrible consumer experience. Sometimes you have to wait 45 days to get your t-shirt, and if they don't tip the campaign, they send you an apology email saying your taste isn't that good and it didn't tip. It's just a bad experience. Could you imagine buying something online, like at Amazon, and having to crowdfund a TV or something? It just didn't work. So for us, the solution, the lid removed, was to have DTG, direct-to-garment production, allowing us to print every shirt on demand with no limitations. Another lid in our industry is to sell t-shirts on all these other platforms that I'm referring to. To do that, you had to be an artist. You had to be a creative. The fix, the lid removed for Sunfrog, was to create an artist-centric community. Those 20 million t-shirts I was telling you about earlier, every one of those shirts can be sold by anyone at any time. And we have licensing deals with Marvel, Disney, Pixar, and the list goes on and on. Another lid in our industry, as affiliates, as sellers, as influencers, when you drive traffic, let's say you're an outdoor influencer and you push traffic to Amazon and somebody buys a kayak, you will get paid on that kayak, but Amazon will take over for you. They will then solicit the customer again and again, and it's now Amazon's customer, not your customer. This is a lid that Sunfrog wanted to remove right out of the gate. We came up with a concept that is unheard of. It's called customer for life. So when you send someone to Sunfrog and you sell a t-shirt, We will solicit the customer. Catalogs will go to their homes. Emails will go back out. And every time they buy, and they do buy again and again, you get paid. It creates residual mailbox money and allows you to have equity in a major brand. Again, it's unheard of. So those are some of my lids as a company, professionally, that we've been dealing with these last few years. Now, what I'd like to do is help you guys identify some of your lids. And I'd like you to ask yourself this question. If it weren't for blank, I would be there. Or if it weren't for blank, I would be here. That thought that just popped into your head, there's a good chance that that is your lid. See, lids can be people. Lids can be your friends, your family, your coworkers, spouses. And I'm not saying get a divorce and don't talk to your friends and ignore your parents, but I'm saying people can hold us back. We need lid removers, and people can also be lid removers. Equipment, things, tangible lids on our jars in life, right? For Sunfrog, it was the building was never big enough. 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, the buildings were never big enough. The servers were never fast enough. Location, geographical location can be a lid. In our case, we're in northern Michigan. Do you guys know who's in northern Michigan? No one's in northern Michigan. And in fact, it was costing us 2 days of trucking just to get into the backbone of the mail stream. So it's slowing us down. The solution, semis running up and down I-75 every day to get us into the pipeline faster. Again, lid removed. So you guys, please think about this. As we talked about tangible lids, real lids, there's also the chance that you are your own lid. Maybe you're the flea that's not being held back by a lid. Maybe you're the flea that has no lid and you're just jumping 6 inches. Maybe you are your own lid. And here's some ideas and some concepts. Fear. Fear can be a self-imposed lid, a limiting belief that holds us back. And I'm not saying don't be afraid. I'm not saying be fearless and reckless. Fear is part of the human equation. It's part of the deal. And I'm not saying don't be cautious. And I picture it like this. Caution is looking left and looking right before crossing the road. But fear is you staying on this side of the road and never crossing. And that can be extremely crippling and very limiting. And if you can learn to push through your fear, you'll have a freedom most people never have. And what I personally do is I turn the fear on itself. And this is what I mean by that. Again, with the analogy, caution's looking left and right before crossing the road. Envision what it is you want on the other side of the road, that person, that place, that thing. Make it so big you have to cross the road. Push through your fear and have freedom. Another limiting belief can be time. I hear this one a lot. I'm guilty of this one. Time, I would ask you the question, do you just have a time management problem? Because time is going to fly by. You just have to remember, you are the pilot of your time. Don't get caught up in the got a minutes of life. And what I mean by got a minute, texting, got a minute, phone, got a minute, Josh, got a minute, it eats up my time, and I find myself making statements like, if I just had more time, I would do this or I would do that. If you're saying that, you're using time as a lid. Conditional beliefs such as it's too hard. Guys, we live in an era of time where we have YouTube, we have Google, but of course it is going to be hard. Anything worthwhile is going to be hard work, right? What about its conditioning to believe it's going to cost too much? I don't think there's ever been a time like this where we have Kickstarter, angel funds, VC funds, GoFundMe type accounts. And get this, you can start an e-commerce website, have your social profiles in line, and by the end of the day, you can compete head-to-head with multi-million and multi-billion-dollar companies. It's not going to cost too much. It's a lid. It's a self-imposed lid. What about I'm not good enough? This is one that we can fall victim to as well. I failed computer lit in high school, and I own a multi-million-dollar .com that runs on a server farm of 40 servers, and I oversee programmers and IT guys. What about I will fail? Statistically, I heard the other day that 98% of entrepreneurial startups will fail. 98%. I can guarantee you 100% of us will fail at some time. It's part of the equation. So let me ask you guys this. What would your life look like if you were lidless? What are your lids? What is it that's holding you back, and what if they weren't there? For Sunfrog, it was explosive growth. Within 2 years, we went from about a dozen employees to nearly 400 employees. We became one of the highest trafficked websites on the planet. We passed Under Armour, Victoria's Secret, Nike, and we kept going and kept going. It was explosive growth. With that explosive growth, I was featured on Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine, morning shows all across the country. With that exposure came big national deals with Walmart and Amazon and other big .coms. We had disrupted our industry. What would your life look like if it were disrupted? What would your industry that you're influencing look like if you could disrupt it? So now I'd like to share with you guys how to actually act and implement change tactically. So up until this point, I've helped you identify your lids, and I'm hoping you're sitting there thinking, I know a few lids, I know what I need to deal with. Now, here's the explosive growth part, guys. And this is my formula for explosive growth in your life. And I've had explosive growth company after company that I've owned, both personally and professionally for years, continued explosive growth. This is my formula. And I even, to fact check it before I came here, I Googled success in 3 steps. No one had my 3 steps. So that means I could be really off, or maybe I'm the guy who's on. I also Googled 5, 6, 10, and 12. So if you don't like 3 steps, there's 5-step programs for success as well. So here are my steps to having explosive growth in your life. Now that you know strategically how to think, and now I'm going to show you tactically how to implement this explosive growth. And it sounds simple, but think big. And I mean, you got to think real big. You got to design that utopia, that thing that you want, that lifestyle you want, that job, that career, whatever it is. You got to think big. And if you tell your friends and family and it sounds like a good idea, you're probably not thinking big enough. Then what I do is, while I'm thinking big, I'm looking at the competitive landscape. If you're influencing, look at other influencers. What is it they're doing? What lids are holding them back that should not be holding you back? And then, most importantly, when you're thinking big, try to align your big dream, your utopia, with your passion. If you can do that, and if you can tie it to your passion, you will have fulfillment. And I am guilty of starting and building multi-million-dollar companies that I resented and I did not like. Because if you follow this formula, you will have success. But if you don't tie it to your passion, you won't have any fulfillment in it. Step number 2, as simple as it sounds, make a plan. Take that big utopia, take that big dream, bring it down, dice it up, reverse engineer it, and set some goals. And while doing that, look at your talents. Line it up with your talents. And what I literally do is I draw a timeline on a piece of paper, and I draw notches on it. And it's like big goal, big dream, all the steps I have to do and the things I have to achieve to get there. Then I put timetables on it, because if you don't put a deadline on it and a date, it's just a wish, it's just a dream. And then I line up with my talents. And if you don't know what your talent is the thing you do the best with the least amount of effort. Sometimes people tell me they have no talents. Your talent is the thing you do the best with the least amount of effort. And step 3 is take action. So we're thinking big, we're making a plan, and we're taking action. And don't be afraid of failure. Like I said, we're all going to fail at some time. Failure is just part of the progress of success. It's part of the process. So many of us are so consumed with needing one more mentor, one more course, one more Facebook group. I'm telling you guys, action trumps knowledge any day of the week. And the thing about action is you need momentum. And you can't just take action and have momentum. It requires you to take action again and again and again to get this momentum. Take action. And then I want to close with this story just real quick. Many of you may know the story of Roger Bannister. It's a phenomenal story on conditioning. Just real quick, Roger Bannister, he's the guy who broke the 4-minute mile. If you didn't know, he ran the 4-minute mile when it had never been done in the history of the world. He did it during a time when they said your heart could explode and you could even die by attempting to run a 4-minute mile. This guy does it. He runs the 4-minute mile. Do you know what happens after he runs the 4-minute mile? Within 46 days, someone else does it. The poor guy broke the 4-minute mile and somebody else does it in 46 days. Within 1 year, dozens of people break the 4-minute mile. Today, high school kids break the 4-minute mile. Why? The lid had been removed. And I'm proud to say at Sunfrog, we just had a kid make $1 million in 10 short weeks. I was excited at 1 year. I was excited at 40 weeks and 30 weeks and 20, but just this last month, we had a kid do it in 10 short weeks. Why? The lid was removed. And when I said a kid made $1 million in 10 weeks, what were you thinking? That might be your lid. I wish I was younger. I wish I was smarter. Those can be conditional thinking, and that can be lids. What's next, guys? I hope my time is up, but I hope at this point you understand some lids in your life. Hopefully you know what they are. Strategically, you can think about that lid, and tactically, you know my 3 steps. Think big, plan big, and take action, and you can remove those lids. Thank you. Thank you for your time, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Josh. All right.